Want to speak real Bulgarian from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at BulgarianPod101.com.
Приятно ми е! Hi, I'm Eva. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Bulgarian expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Bulgarian. But first, it's important to clarify that in Bulgarian, there is a difference between the formal and the informal language. Let's first see how Bulgarian people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Здрасти, аз се казвам Ива. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Hi, I'm Eva. Nice to meet you. Здрасти, аз се казвам Ива. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Start by saying Здрасти, аз се казвам. Then say your name. Здрасти, аз се казвам Ива. Finally say Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Здрасти, аз се казвам Ива. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. And now let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Здравейте, аз се казвам Ива Георгиева. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Hello, I'm Eva Georgieva. Nice to meet you. Здравейте, аз се казвам Ива Георгиева. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. So, what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these together. Здрасти has been substituted with the formal greeting Здравейте, formal Bulgarian for hello. Аз се казвам Ива has not been changed. Аз се казвам stands in both cases for I am or my name is. However, during a formal self-introduction, we also say our last name. So I said Eva Georgieva. Here, you would say your full name. Finally, the ending remains the same. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. It is a universal Bulgarian greeting, meaning nice to meet you. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Bulgarian is Здрасти, аз се казвам Ива. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. The formal way to introduce yourself is Здравейте, аз се казвам Ива Георгиева. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Now it's time for Eva's insights. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands in Bulgaria, and if you're not sure whether to use Здрасти or Здравейте, just say simply Добър ден, which means hello and is used during the daytime. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Готови ли сте? Are you ready? Да започваме! So let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It's just one word. Благодаря. Благодаря. Благодаря means thank you. When saying thank you very much, you just need to add много. Много благодаря. Много благодаря. Много means a lot. So много благодаря is like saying thank you very much. During the last lesson, we mentioned both the informal and the formal way of speaking Bulgarian. Благодаря is the most common way to thank someone. If you want to be more casual, there is another word you should use, and you will be amazed which word that is. Merci. Merci. Merci is a loan word from French, but it is pronounced with the typical Bulgarian hard R. R. It is used mainly in informal situations. Merci. How do you answer? It's easy. There are basically 2 different ways to do it. The first is Няма защо. Няма защо. Няма защо literally means there is no reason, but it is the equivalent of don't mention it. The other way to say you're welcome is the word моля. Моля. Literally, this word means I beg or please, but it has become a common way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone says благодаря to you, we can simply reply with няма защо or моля. Now it's time for Eva's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use merci or благодаря, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Благодаря can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. In this lesson, we'll learn some of the most common greetings used in Bulgaria. Готови ли сте? Are you ready? Да започваме! So let's start. The most used informal greeting is Здрасти. Здрасти. Здрасти means hi or hello. We should only use this greeting with friends or relatives. There is one more word which is an informal way to say hello. Здравей. It has the same meaning as здрасти and is used when we speak only with one person. Здравей. And now let's continue with the formal way to greet people. The most general version is Добър ден. Добър ден. Literally, добър ден means good day. So as a rule, we can use добър ден only during the daytime, from morning until evening. During the evening, we say добър вечер. Добър вечер. Вечер is Bulgarian for evening, so добър вечер means good evening. During the morning, we say добро утро. Добро утро. Утро is Bulgarian for morning. Добро утро, добър ден, and добър вечер are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we use another word. In this formal situation, Bulgarian people use довиждане. Довиждане. Довиждане means goodbye. Finally, in Bulgarian, we have an expression meaning see you soon that can be considered both formal and informal. До скоро. До скоро. Now you can greet people in many different ways in Bulgarian. Let's review them all again. When meeting in an informal situation, здрасти or здравей for one person. When meeting older people or someone we don't know in the different times of the day, добро утро, добър ден, добър вечер. When living in a formal situation, довиждане. When living no matter whether it is a formal or informal situation, до скоро. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Eva's insights. Remember merci from the last lesson. Bulgarian uses a lot of words borrowed from other languages, and we also have one for goodbye. Ciao! Just like Italian, this is actually the phrase you will hear the most in Bulgaria. Friends often say it to each other when leaving. Try to say it to your Bulgarian friends. Ciao! In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Bulgarian, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the informal way to say it. Говориш ли английски? Говориш ли английски? In Bulgarian, verbs change depending on the formality and also depending on the subject. This word is the informal form of the verb говоря, which means to speak, and it is conjugated for the second person singular. The next word is the particle li, which is used in many Bulgarian questions. Just remember that it means something like weather. And you probably recognize английски to be English. Говорите ли английски? To learn how to properly conjugate verbs like говоря, please look at our Absolute Beginner series on BulgarianPod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. We are now going to make this sentence formal. First, we need to use the formal version of speak, which is говорите. Everything else stays the same. Говорите ли английски? Говорите ли английски? Adding извинете, excuse me, the sentence becomes even more polite. Извинете, говорите ли английски? Извинете, говорите ли английски? The responses you will receive could be one of these three. Да, yes. Да. Малко, a little. Малко. Не говоря английски. No, I don't speak English. Не говоря английски. Since the last one is a negative statement, we need to say не before the verb говоря and не in the beginning of the whole sentence. Notice also that the verb говоря is slightly different than говорите. Remember, the verb changes depending on the formality and the subject. We are now talking about us, Bulgarian for I. Thus, I do not speak is аз не говоря. Now it's time for Eva's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Bulgarian people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute английски with русски for Russian, немски for German, итальянски for Italian, испански for Spanish. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression извинете. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Bulgarian. It's never too late to show your good manners with Bulgarian people. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase извинете, говорите ли английски? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word извинете, which means excuse me in formal Bulgarian. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use извинете and other words when apologizing in Bulgarian. We should use извинете in formal situations, such as when we are ordering something in bars or restaurants. For example, извинете, едно кафе моля. Excuse me, a coffee please. We can also use it when asking a question. Извинете, къде се намира храм Александър Невски? Excuse me, where is the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral? Sometimes we also hear people say ако обичате, which means the same thing when you want to draw someone's attention. We only use this phrase in formal speech. Ако обичате. The informal way to say excuse me is извинявай. Извинявай. Just like извинете, we can use извинявай when asking a question or when apologizing. We can also use the word прощавай. Прощавай. You might hear this phrase translated as forgive me in English, but it's not formal or strong at all. Bulgarian people use it in very casual situations. Its formal version in second person plural is прощавайте. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is съжалявам. It means I'm sorry and can be used in both formal and informal situations. съжалявам. This verb is in the first person singular form, so it basically means I'm sorry. You can use this expression anytime you wish to apologize. Now it's time for Eva's insights. Please remember that in Bulgaria, if you accidentally bump into someone, we don't say I'm sorry, съжалявам. Instead we say извинете, excuse me, or прощавайте, forgive me. Are you able to count in Bulgarian?
When learning a new language, we sometimes have a hard time with things like procrastination, discouragement, or failure. But don't panic. With a good strategy, you'll be able to overcome these difficulties. Are you ready to discover the 4 habits of successful learners? Number 1. Optimize your time. When learning a language, it's important to dedicate time to your studies regularly, even if sometimes it's difficult. You're busy with school, work, family, or friends, but you can spread out your learning throughout the day. Study whenever you have small gaps of time in your busy schedule. This can be when you're on the metro, on your lunch break, or while you're exercising. Our podcast learning format fits perfectly into your tight schedule. Number 2. Consistency with your chosen method. There are a lot of options when it comes to courses and learning materials. Switching from one method to another can confuse you and disrupt your progress. Focusing on one learning method will make a difference. Our method has been created and optimized by real teachers, so you can stick to it with confidence. Number 3. Use your language background. Many languages share some commonalities. You can find words that look or sound similar, or even share the same grammar structure. A little bit of language background will give you an edge while learning. Number 4. Study continuously. People are excited when they start learning a new language. The enthusiasm usually lasts until the first roadblock. This can lead to discouragement and procrastination. But don't burn yourself out. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't try to learn it all at once. Break things down into more digestible chunks. Learning step by step might feel slow, but it's an efficient way to learn a language. With patience, motivation, and good resources, you'll master the language. Remember, you can't learn a language overnight, but with motivation and these daily lessons, you'll be on the road to fluency.
Want to speak real Bulgarian from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at BulgarianPod101.com. You are at a bus terminal where you're attempting to buy a ticket from a ticket counter. There are 4 different counters. Which counter should you line up at to go to the south side of the city? Which counter should you line up at to go to the south side of the city? The third counter is the counter for bus tickets that go to the south side of the city.
За южната част на града.
You are at a bus terminal where you've just bought a long-distance ticket. Which row and seat number are you in? Which row and seat number are you in? The ticket says that you're in the 8th row in seat C.
8 ред, място С.
You are at a bus terminal where you're reading the schedule for long-distance buses. On which days are there no buses running? On which days are there no buses running? There are no express trains running on public holidays and the third Sunday of every month.
Официални празници. Третата неделя на всеки месец.
You are at a bus stop where you're waiting for the 301 bus. There is a notice posted on the bus timetable. What does the notice say? What does the notice say? The notice reads, "The 301 bus does not stop here."
Автобус 301 не спира тук.
Okay, hi everyone! How are you today? I'm your host Daria, and this is an episode of BulgarianPod101.com. Maybe one of the most important episodes because it gives you the top 25 Bulgarian phrases that they are. I mean, these are key phrases that you need to start a conversation, to introduce yourself, to say the basic phrases of every language. So if you want to be 25 Bulgarian phrases ahead of the rest of the people who don't know those, grab a pen and a notebook and let's start. Здравей. Здравей. Hello. How to start? How should we start? I think there's no better way to start but to say здравей. Zdravey. Hello. Well, hello everyone. Zdravey is like an informal way to say it. You can say zdravейте, the formal one. Also plural, yeah. You can say zdravейте to multiple people. And also if you hear that some Bulgarian people say zdrasti, zdrasti, this is the short version of hello. Just hi. Добро утро. Добро утро. Good morning. How do you usually start the day? If you see somebody, you would greet them with Добро утро. Добро утро. Good morning. This phrase I love a lot because of the vibration of it. Добро утро. Practice your R's in this phrase. Also, I like to use it because we're one step ahead of our southern neighbors, the Greek people, who don't even have a phrase for good morning. They just start from Kalimera, which is the day. I don't know why nobody celebrates the morning over there. We do. Добър ден. Добър ден. Good afternoon. Moving on later in the day. Добър ден. Добър ден. Good afternoon. Now, here's the tricky part because it may be 10 a.m. in the morning, but you can hear a Bulgarian saying добър ден, which literally is good afternoon, but we use it more as good day to you. So remember it, добър ден. Лека нощ. Лека нощ. Good night. When you go to bed, you would hear a Bulgarian person wishing you leka noșt. Leka noșt. This is good night. Good night, good night. I remember a song from my childhood. There was a television show just before the little kids would go to bed. And the show was called Leka noșt deța. Good night, children. Deța. And it was about a character named Sâncho. Sâncho, which is like a sleepy boy. Anyway, memories from my childhood. Moving on. Как се казваш? Как се казваш? What's your name? Now that you've learned how to greet people according to the part of the day your encounter is happening, how to properly introduce yourself. You can ask them for their name. Как се казваш? Как се казваш? This is pretty much asking what's your name. You can also make it plural or formal by saying те at the end. Как се казва те? What is your name? Formal. And how do we reply to that? Аз съм Майя. Аз съм Майя. I'm Maya. Аз съм Дария. Аз съм Дария. Аз съм Дария. This is a way of saying I am Daria. And what do we usually add after that, after we introduce our name? Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Nice to meet you. Usually after we say our name, we would add приятно ми е да се запознаем. Right? It's very simple. Приятно ми е да се запознаем. Nice to meet you. Now, you can just use the first part of this phrase, which is приятно ми е. It's nice. That's pretty much enough for Bulgarian. But if you want to sound more like a true Bulgarian, you gotta say приятно ми е да се запознаем. Как си? Как си? How are you? Как си? Как си? How are you? This is a classic question you can ask anybody, and it's a door opener, by the way. I've heard it use it quite a lot in the US or other countries. However, please, I beg of you, when you ask как си, really show interest and really mean it. Как си? Благодаря, добре. А ти? Благодаря, добре. А ти? I'm fine, thanks. And you? And usually there is the answer. Благодаря, добре. А ти? Благодаря, добре. А ти? Literally, I'm fine, thank you. And how about you? Благодаря, добре. Благодаря, добре. А ти? I'm fine, thanks. And you? Literally, благодаря is thank you, добре is good. Thank you, good. А ти and you. You can juggle with that, or you can say how you really feel. You may be moody, you may be happy, you may be anxious. So you can add whatever you like in that little phrase. Благодаря, добре. Благодаря, не добре. Моля. Моля. Please. Моля. Моля. It's a very important word because it shows politeness. It shows good intention. This is the Bulgarian word for please. Please. Also, моля means I beg you, I beg of you. But you can also add it to any sentence if you would like to request something. And we'll see later on how to use моля. Благодаря. Благодаря. Thank you. The next word is a very important one because it shows gratitude. Благодаря. Благодаря. One word. It means thank you. But the root of the word is благо, which is all the best things or the nice things, даря, I'm gifting them to you. Like nice things I'm giving. So you can say благодаря. But also for people who don't feel confident in saying this long word in Bulgarian, it's fine for you to use the French merci, because we've stolen that one in our language.
Пак заповядай. Пак заповядай. You're welcome.
And usually if you say благодаря, you can say right afterwards, пак заповядай. Пак заповядай. You are welcome. And you have the nicest of nicest things in your relationship with the person you have just met. Nice base to work on from then on.
Да. Yes.
Here are the two most important words to reply a yes and no question, which are the words yes and no. Da in Bulgarian means yes.
Не. No.
Ne in Bulgarian means no. But don't confuse it with the type of nodding, because all over the world, this means da and this means ne. But only in Bulgaria, it's vice versa. So this would mean no, and this would mean yes. Not ne, da. Why? I can't even tell you. I can't. Some psychology thing, sociology, I don't know.
Добре. Okay.
Remember the phrase that we've used before? Благодаря, добре. Replying to how are you feeling today? Good, thank you. Good. This is the word добре. Добре. This means okay in Bulgarian, and it's okay to use it as much as possible, just because of the good vibration of it. Добре, добре.
Извинете. Извинете. Excuse me.
Another of the top 25 Bulgarian phrases that everybody should know is извинете. Извинете. Excuse me. Yes, people should learn how to use this word as much as possible, because, first of all, Bulgarian people rarely use it. Why? If they step on your foot or they push you or punch you, do something horrible to you, they would say, Opa. They may even crush your car and they will say, Opa, which literally is oops. They would not say, excuse me, I apologize, and they would just go away. Yeah, because we are such people. But really, a lot of people say opa. Opa, which is, I think it's a Greek word as well. Opa. Opa! Opa, hey. Okay.
Съжалявам. Съжалявам. I'm sorry.
Another good word to use is съжалявам. Съжалявам. Now, this means I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, but a lot of people find difficulty pronouncing the... Now I'm having difficulty speaking. Pronouncing the in the beginning, because we have this sound. The Brazilian people would understand perfectly what I'm talking about because they have this sound. But if you don't, stress on съжалявам. Съжалявам. It actually makes your body feel good after you say it. So I'm sorry. Use it as much as you can.
Колко е часът? Колко е часът? What time is it?
So you're walking the streets of Sofia or Plovdiv, and you have a meeting with a local person to show you around. You've agreed to meet at 2 o'clock somewhere, but you don't have a watch. the battery on your phone is dead, so there is no way for you to know is it 2 o'clock already or not. Here is a way to ask for it. Колко е часът? Колко е часът? What's the time? Usually, as an answer, you would get just a number. 2, 2 часа, 3 часа, 4, and it's useful if you know the Bulgarian numbers.
Къде е туалетната? Къде е туалетната? Where is the restroom?
Another very useful phrase, which is definitely among the top 25 Bulgarian phrases you should know, is this one. Къде е туалетната? Къде е туалетната? The double O. Okay, where is the restroom? I don't know why I feel saying that learning this will open a lot of doors for you. Hopefully it will open a lot of doors for you and you don't have to wait in front of the restroom. But in Bulgaria, there are a lot of public restrooms around, or you can use any cafe or restaurant for this. And literally, you can just say toilet and they'll understand you because toilet, toaletna. Very similar.
Изчакайте за момент. Изчакайте за момент. Wait a moment.
Here's another phrase. If you hear somebody say изчакайте за момент, изчакайте за момент, they usually mean wait a moment. I hope you don't hear this in front of the restroom door, but in case that happens, you know that you have to wait. Hey, sometimes in life you have to wait for the good things to come and to happen to you.
Колко струва това? Колко струва това? How much is this?
So you've had a wonderful day sightseeing and you've met the local person and then you enter a souvenir shop. But in the souvenir shop there is no price announced. Now, if that happens, you can ask, колко струва това? Колко струва това? How much is this? And again, they'll give you a number as an answer. So it's always handy and good to learn the Bulgarian numbers first.
Помощ. Помощ. Help.
If you need help, ask for it. You can say помощ. Помощ. Help. Yell it as loud as you can. Помощ. Помощ. It's a funny thing that we Bulgarians have been exposed so much to Western movies that almost everybody would know the English version of помощ, which is help. However, you will sound like a true Bulgarian if you learn помощ.
До скоро. До скоро. See you later.
We are almost towards the end. It seems proper that I give you 2 phrases of how to part with people. So bear with me. До скоро. До скоро means see you later.
Довиждане. Довиждане. Goodbye.
Another word would be довиждане. Довиждане. Goodbye. And don't be afraid to use the Italian ciao because it's so short and so easy and everybody uses it. And this is another foreign word that we have stolen and claimed in our Bulgarian language.
Не знам. Не знам. I don't know.
Не знам. Не знам. This is a way of saying I don't know. And in my personal opinion, this phrase can get you out of almost any situation. Whatever they ask you, you just say не знам, and you can add български at the end of that sentence. For example, не знам български. And that'll be enough for the people to leave you alone. If you do know Bulgarian, which you do by watching BulgarianPod101.com, you can just say знам. I know български. Bulgarian. Знам български. I know Bulgarian. Great! Seems like we've reached the end of this episode of BulgarianPod101.com, and you now know the top 25 Bulgarian phrases everybody should know. Great! That's amazing. I'm proud of you. And by the way, for more Bulgarian, click subscribe here under this video. Leave me a comment about which of this you would say to a stranger, or go to BulgarianPod101.com for more lessons in Bulgarian. I'm your host Daria, and I can't wait until I meet you next time. Until then, do skoro! Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of BulgarianPod101.com, the best way to learn Bulgarian language, with your host here, Daria. Today, I'm eager to share with you 10 questions you should know. And why have I picked those? You'll see why. Here is some explanation at the end of every question and sample answer you're gonna get. So if you are ready to start, let's go!
Как се казвате? Как се казвате? What's your name?
Here is the first question. Как се казвате? Как се казвате? What's your name? Great. Pay attention that казвате is actually formal way to say, to ask for somebody's name. Казвате. The informal way and first person of the verb казвам се is казваш. Как се казваш? You can ask this to somebody you feel familiar with. How to reply? Very simple. Казвам се Дария. Казвам се Дария. My name is Daria. Very simple. And you can also say аз съм Дария. I am Daria. Various name. You can even forget the verb part and just reply with your name. As simple as that.
Как сте? Как сте? How are you?
The next question you should know actually logically follows the first one. Как сте? Как сте? How are you? Right after you ask for somebody's name, let's ask how do they feel? Again, with this one, remember that как сте is a formal way to ask a person. Or you can ask multiple persons, multiple people, personas. Okay, great. Как сте turns into как си. This is the informal way of asking how are you? And how do you reply? Here is a sample. Добре съм, благодаря. Добре съм, благодаря. I'm fine, thank you. It's a good thing to add the благодаря at the end. It really gives a hint that you are a human being. I encourage you to use благодаря as often as you can, because in my culture we don't get to use it a lot.
Откъде си? Откъде си? Where are you from?
Great! Now that you have found out what's the person's name and how do they feel, you can ask them. Откъде си? Откъде си? Where are you from? And a possible answer to this could be от София. От София. from Sofia. You can change the location and turn it into Plovdiv, Varna, Russe, Burgas, or whatever town you are from. But this is how you can ask a Bulgarian person. Откъде си? Where are you from?
Кога е рожденият ти ден? Кога е рожденият ти ден? When is your birthday?
Another question I really like to ask people because I'm so interested in astrology that I would like right away to know everybody's zodiac sign. Maybe that makes me a little bit prejudiced, but hey, I bond with some signs and some not, so I have to watch out for those people. So I will ask, кога е рожденият ти ден? Кога е рожденият ти ден? When is your birthday? It's a phrase that needs a little bit of practice because of a lot of d sounds, but you'll get to it very quickly, I am sure. And how do you reply to that? If you don't want to give away your birthday, you can just reply by giving your month of birth. For example, I'm born in February, so I would answer през февруари. През февруари. It's very similar to February. February. Gives a little bit of a trick over there in pronunciation, but that means in February. And I indeed was born in February. This makes me an Aquarius.
Къде живееш? Къде живееш? Where do you live?
So, after you've learned the person's birthday, but before you ask them straight for their bank account number, you can ask them this. Къде живееш? Къде живееш? Where do you live? And, of course, they will try to get around the answer. So, you may get an answer like this. Живея с приятели. Живея с приятели. I live with friends. Of course, this means leave me alone and don't ask me any more questions, please. But hey, it's better to live with friends, by the way, than with your family. It shows up that you are taking responsibility for your adult life. So great that you're living with friends.
Къде работиш? Къде работиш? Where do you work?
One of the favorite questions somebody would ask you, of course, because they try, to figure out what social class you belong to or how much money you make. Of course, they would ask you this. Къде работиш? Къде работиш? Where do you work? To which you can, of course, create your own story if you don't like to deal with nosy people. But if you truly would like to answer honestly, tell wherever you work. But here is a way of saying it. В една туристическа агенция. В една туристическа агенция. I think you almost thought of what exactly this means in English, and it means in a travel agency, in a tourist agency. Yes. So if you work, for example, in a bank, you can say в една банка, or if you don't work at all, you can say I am a happy person.
Какъв е телефонният ти номер? Какъв е телефонният ти номер? What's your phone number?
Some people would like to know a lot of things about you, so they may ask you, какъв е телефонният ти номер? Какъв е телефонният ти номер? What's your phone number? Of course, if it's a very important business connection, you would give your phone number to this person that you're talking to. However, if it's just a random person who is trying to interfere in your life, This is how you reply. Предпочитам да не го давам на непознати. Предпочитам да не го давам на непознати. I prefer not giving it to strangers. I think that you would agree with me on this one.
Къде сте учили български език? Къде сте учили български език? Where did you learn Bulgarian?
Great, guys! So, you're in a party with Bulgarian people and you are impressing them with the Bulgarian language you've already learned, so it's natural that somebody should ask you, къде сте учили български език? Къде сте учили български език? Where have you learned Bulgarian? Great, so be prepared for this question. So when this question comes, here's how you answer. На летен лагер в Родопите. На летен лагер в Родопите. My favorite mountain, Родопи. This literally translates as in a summer camp in the Rodopi Mountains. Great! This is a good way to learn Bulgarian right over there. Another good way is to comment on this channel. I learned Bulgarian with BulgarianPod101.com. And if somebody asks you, къде сте учили български? You can say BulgarianPod101.com, which literally is our name with the S in the front.
Харесвате ли българската кухня? Харесвате ли българската кухня? Do you like Bulgarian food?
And of course, a conversation with a Bulgarian person would not be complete without them asking you about our food. How do you find it? So, a Bulgarian person may ask you, харесвате ли българската кухня? Харесвате ли българската кухня? Do you like Bulgarian food? What do you think the answer should be? Please never tell a Bulgarian person you don't like the Bulgarian cuisine. Even if you don't like it, we take pride in everything that is Bulgarian for some reason. So also this is a very good shortcut to insult the Bulgarian. Tell them you don't like their food. However, for the purposes of making friendship, here is how you should answer the question. Абсолютно обожавам я. Абсолютно обожавам я. Definitely yes. I love it. You love it and they will love you for loving it.
Били ли сте в България? Били ли сте в България? Have you been to Bulgaria?
The next question may come into conversation if you are outside of Bulgaria, somewhere, and you meet Bulgarian people or anybody who would like to ask about our country. So the question would be, били ли сте в България? Били ли сте в Bulgaria? Have you been to Bulgaria? And in case this conversation is not happening in my country, you can reply, не, никога, но много бих искала. Не, никога, но много бих искала. This means no, never, but I would like to very much. However, pay attention that this phrase, много бих искала, I would like to very much, is only if you are a female saying it. If you are a male saying it, you should say, много бих искал. So there is just one letter difference, but it makes the whole change of gender over there. And so this is the end of today's episode of BulgarianPod101.com. You've learned 10 questions you should know in Bulgarian language. For more, go to BulgarianPod101.com and also subscribe to this channel to stay up to date with the next episode with your host, Daria. I love sharing all kind of facts with you about my country, sometimes with a little bit of humor. I hope you don't mind that, and I will try to do that in the next episode. Until we see one another again, you can leave something in the comment section for me to read. Довиждане и благодаря. Goodbye and thank you. Hi guys, how is it going? Welcome to another episode of BulgarianPod101.com with me, Daria, your host. Today, I have prepared for you something very interesting because the topic of this lesson is 10 phrases you never want to hear. And even though you may not want to hear them, you will have to hear them now in this episode if you would like to learn how to speak a better Bulgarian language. It's not so bad, and most of them are universal. You don't want to hear them anywhere. Even if it's Australia or Burkina Faso, probably. So some of them, I'll give you some more insight about why it's good or not good to hear them in my home country, Bulgaria. So let's go.
Не си ли качила малко килограми напоследък? Не си ли качила малко килограми напоследък? Have you gained weight recently?
One of the worst phrases that nobody wants to hear is this. Не си ли качила малко килограми напоследък? Не си ли качила малко килограми напоследък? Have you gained weight recently? Not a very good thing to hear, especially if you're a woman. That's why the sentence or the phrase has the feminine inclination in it. So, качила. You can also try to say to a guy, не си ли качил малко килограми напоследък? But I think for a guy, that's not the worst thing they never want to hear. Because guys, we women are a little more touchy about the subject of weight.
Имаш няколко бели косама. Имаш няколко бели косама. You have a gray hair.
Another phrase you may not want to hear, and then again, this is very subjective, and I'll tell you why, is this phrase. Имаш няколко бели косама. Имаш няколко бели косама. You have a gray hair. And pay attention that in the Bulgarian version of the sentence, the color of the hair is white, beli kosama, and then it translates as gray hair in English, which is siv kosam, gray hair. But if you tell somebody, oh, you have white hair, имаш няколко бели косама, I've heard this reply and I love saying it back to people. Oh, it's okay that I have white hair. It's my transitioning into a white swan. So there you go again, subjective. It may be the worst thing you hear. It may be not so bad after all. Moving on to the next phrase.
Нали ти казах? Нали ти казах? I told you so.
The next phrase is нали ти казах? Нали ти казах? I told you so. Yes, in the egocentric society that we live nowadays, in the 21st century, this is a very common phrase. And of course, everybody likes to say it and nobody likes to hear it. So, it probably helps if you don't speak well Bulgarian that if somebody told you нали ти казах, you will just pass through your ear and go the other way. But you can use this phrase yourself if you want to tease somebody.
Уволнен си. Уволнен си. You are fired.
Again, a phrase you don't want to hear is уволнен си. Uvo, Nancy, you are fired. Of course, if you love your job, that's the worst thing you want to hear. The last thing you want to hear is Uvo, Nancy. However, it may make somebody extremely happy that they're finally fired. Because soon they'll be hired, that's what is on my mind. When one door closes, another one opens. Such as the blow of the universe.
Причината не е в теб, а в мен. Причината не е в теб, а в мен. It's not you, it's me.
Moving on to the next phrase that you don't want to hear. Причината не е в теб, а в мен. Причината не е в теб, а в мен. It's not you, it's me. What are your associations when you hear this, right? You never trust this sentence because it implies that it's actually you that have the fault. The fault is on you, the guilt. But you don't have to worry about hearing this in Bulgaria because nobody will say it this way. They will directly say, it's your fault. So it's you, it's not me.
Благодарим за вашето резюме. Позицията обаче вече е заета. Благодарим за вашето резюме. Позицията обаче вече е заета. Thank you for your resume. However, the position has been filled.
Let's say that you are looking for a job and you have found that pretty good position. It reflects everything you wanted. The work hours, the location of the job, the pay, everything is perfect and you have applied with your resume, but instead you hear this phrase. Благодарим за вашето резюме. Позицията обаче вече е заета. Благодарим за вашето резюме. Позицията обаче вече е заета. Thank you for your resume. The position, however, has been filled. Yes, that's definitely something you never want to hear if you are applying to your dream job. But then again, when one door closes, another one opens, and maybe there is something better around the corner even than your dream job.
Трябва да се срещаме и с други хора. Трябва да се срещаме и с други хора. We should see other people as well.
The next phrase is something you never want to hear from your partner in life. Трябва да се срещаме и с други хора. Трябва да се срещаме и с други хора. We should see other people as well. Which means that maybe your partner is not into you, or maybe they have changed their philosophy from a monogamous to a polygamous point of view. Hey, no judging here. Everybody's free to say what they want, but in case you are a monogamous type, this is the last thing you want to hear from your partner.
Не мога да ти върна парите днес. Не мога да ти върна парите днес. I don't have your money today.
If you had lent some money to somebody, this is definitely the phrase you don't want to hear from them. Не мога да ти върна парите днес. Не мога да ти върна парите днес. I don't have your money today. It's okay if you hear this phrase for the first time from your friend. Because you know what happens, they may have forgotten or they may be in a difficult situation, so today is not the day. However, if you hear this phrase, не мога да ти върна парите днес, for a fifth time within a couple of months, then you should start worrying. Because this friend may never pay you back, unfortunately. There are people like that, they just never pay back. Mm-hmm.
Трябва да поговорим за нещо. Трябва да поговорим за нещо. We need to talk.
Next comes a phrase that nobody wants to hear. And when they hear the phrase, people usually are so afraid, paralyzed, and full with anxiety that they try to avoid the following event of the phrase. Here is the phrase. Трябва да поговорим за нещо. Трябва да поговорим за нещо. We need to talk. Now, even though this is a phrase that nobody wants to hear because they're afraid that something bad will be discussed, or this is the end of the relationship, or the school principal will tell the parents something bad about their son or daughter in school. Hey, hold on. It's not the end of the world. And it's actually better if we go on and discuss hard problems instead of just avoiding them. So no need to feel anxious or afraid when somebody tells you that. Just go for it and overcome it, like a true warrior.
Извинявай, забравих. Извинявай, забравих. Sorry, I forgot.
The next phrase is not as bad as the other phrases we've covered until now, but still, if it concerns your birthday and it's your best friend or your partner, it's kind of a bummer to hear it. Извинявай, забравих. Извинявай, забравих. Sorry, I forgot. Well, you can always count on your mom, by the way, that you'll never forget anything, especially your birthday. So there you go. You have one person who will never pronounce this. And here comes the end of this week's episode of BulgarianPod101.com. In this episode, we've covered 10 phrases you never want to hear. Maybe some of them are useful, maybe some of them are not. Please let me know what is the phrase that you never want to hear in the comment section below this video. For more episodes like this one, please click subscribe, but also visit BulgarianPod101.com for more lessons in Bulgarian. I am your host, Daria, and for me, it's a great pleasure to bring you these episodes. I hope you're having fun with me. Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!
Want to finally start speaking in your target language? In this guide, you'll discover the top 7 ways to practice speaking on your own with our lessons. Let's begin. Number 1, shadowing. Shadowing is a proven learning technique where all you do is repeat what you hear in order to practice speaking. So access any audio or video lesson on the site and press the play button to start. Then, as you listen or watch, just repeat the conversations. Or, even easier, read along out loud with the dialogue section. The script is right there in front of you. With our lessons, you can master entire conversations, just like that. Number 2, read out loud. I just mentioned it, but reading out loud is another powerful tactic and deserves its own mention. With every lesson, you get written transcripts and translations. So, as you play the lesson, read the dialogue out loud as you hear it. Why? By reading out loud, you're also practicing your speaking skills. You can do this with the lesson notes, the lesson transcript, or the dialogue tool. With the dialogue tool, you can listen to each line again and again, and repeat out loud until you master them all. Number 3, speed up your reading to speed up your speaking. Being able to speak without thinking is a sign of language mastery. If you're talking to a native and can respond quickly, they'll assume that you're fairly fluent. How can you do this? When you read out loud, try increasing your speed a little bit every time. So, start by reading with the dialogue tool. If you're like most learners, you'll read the first line slowly. That's because you're still getting used to the words, which is okay. Reread it. On your second try, you know most of the words, and you'll read a little faster. Reread it again. On your third try, you'll be even faster, at a native speaker's speed. And being able to read these phrases out loud and fast will help you speak fast. Number 4, record and compare yourself with native speakers. In order to sound like a native speaker, you must imitate native speakers. So here's how. Access the voice recorder, which is in the Dialogue Study tool in every lesson. Click on the microphone icon. Listen to the native speaker's audio, and then record yourself. You can then compare the two recordings side by side, and practice and try again and again until you perfect your pronunciation. Number 5, get feedback from our Premium Plus teacher. If you're learning by yourself and don't have access to real teachers, then you can always get feedback from our Premium Plus teachers. With the My Teacher tool, you can record yourself speaking and send the audio file to the teacher. They'll review it and tell you what to improve and how. That's it. Number 6, level up your speaking with Premium Plus assignments. With Premium Plus, you can also get assignments that cover reading, writing, listening, and even speaking from your teacher. These assignments can be tailored to your goals and needs. You get a new one every week, or anytime you're ready for a new one. Number 7, get even more lessons in the lesson library. If you want even more lessons on speaking and conversations, visit our lesson library and under Category, choose Conversation. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons that are focused on speaking.
Great. Страхотно. Страхотно.
Green.
Зелен. Зелен. Guidebook. Пътеводител. Пътеводител. Guitar. Китара. Китара. Gym.
Фитнес салон. Фитнес салон.
Hair. Коса. Коса. Hair dryer. Сешоар. Сешоар. Hand. Ръка. Ръка. Happy. Щастлив. Щастлив.
Hard.
Твърд. Твърд. Hat. Шапка. Шапка. Head. Глава. Глава. Hear. Слушам. Слушам. Heavy. Тежък. Тежък. Hello. Здрасти. Здрасти. Her.
Нея. Нея.
Here.
Тук. Тук.
High. Висок. Висок.
High school.
Гимназия. Гимназия. Holiday. Почивен ден. Почивен ден. Home. Дом. Дом. Homework. Домашна работа. Домашна работа.
Horse.
Кон. Кон. Hospital. Болница. Болница.
hot.
горещ, горещ.
Hotel.
Хотел, хотел.
Hour.
час, час.
House.
къща, къща.
How.
Как, как.
Hungry.
Гладен, гладен.
Husband.
Съпруг, съпруг.
I. Us. Us. Ice. Lit. Lit. Ice cream.
Сладолед, сладолед.
Important.
Важен, важен.
Infection.
Инфекция, инфекция.
Internet.
Интернет, интернет.
Island.
Остров, остров.
It. То. То.
Itch.
Сърбеж, сърбеж.
Jacket.
Яке, яке.
January.
Януари, януари.
Jeans.
Дънки, дънки.
Job.
Работа, работа.
Juice.
Сок, сок.
July.
Юли, юли.
June.
Юни, юни.
Key.
Ключ, ключ.
Kitchen.
Кухня, кухня.
Knee.
Коляно, коляно.
Knife.
Нож, нож.
Lake.
Езеро, езеро.
Lamb.
Агнешко, агнешко.
Language.
език, език.
Laptop.
Лаптоп, лаптоп.
Large. L.
Голям, голям.
Laugh.
Смея се, смея се.
Learn.
Уча, уча.
Leave.
Изоставям, изоставям.
Left.
Ляво, ляво.
Leg.
Крак, крак.
Lemon.
Limon. Limon.
Lesson.
Урок. Урок.
Lettuce.
Маруля. Маруля.
Library.
Библиотека. Библиотека.
Light.
Лек. Лек.
To like.
Харесвам. Харесвам.
Listen.
Слушам. Слушам.
Living room.
Всекидневна. Всекидневна.
Lose.
Губя. Губя.
Love.
Обичам. Обичам.
Low.
Нисък. Нисък.
Luggage.
Багаж. Багаж.
Lunch.
Обяд. Обяд.
Machine.
Машина. Машина.
Main course.
Основно ястие. Основно ястие.
Mall.
Мол. Мол.
Man.
Мъж. Мъж.
Map.
Карта. Карта.
March.
Март. Март.
Marketing.
Маркетинг. Маркетинг.
Marry.
Женя. Женя.
May.
Май. Май.
Meat.
Месо. Месо.
Meet.
Срещам. Срещам.
Melons.
Пъпеш. Пъпеш.
Menu.
Меню. Меню.
Microwave oven.
Микроволнова. Микроволнова.
Middle school.
Средно училище. Средно училище.
Midnight.
Полунощ. Полунощ.
Milk.
Мляко. Мляко.
Minutes.
Минута. Минута.
Mirror.
Огледало. Огледало.
Miss.
Пропускам. Пропускам.
Monday.
Понеделник. Понеделник.
Money.
Пари. Пари.
Month.
Месец. Месец.
Morning.
Сутрин. сутрин,
Mosquito.
комар, комар,
Mother.
майка, майка,
Mountain.
планина, планина,
Mouse.
мишка, мишка,
Mouth.
уста, уста,
Move.
движа, движа,
Movie.
Филм. Филм.
museum, музей, музей,
Mushroom.
гъба, гъба,
Name.
Име. Име.
Near.
близък, близък,
Neck.
врат, врат,
Need.
Нуждая се от. Нуждая се от.
Never.
никога, никога,
News.
новини, новини,
Newspaper.
вестник, вестник,
Nice. Приятен. Приятен.
Night.
вечер, вечер,
9.
девет, девет,
19.
деветнадесет, деветнадесет,
99.
деветдесет и девет, деветдесет и девет,
No.
Не. Не.
Noon.
Обед. Обед.
Nose.
нос, нос,
Notebook.
тетрадка, тетрадка,
November.
ноември, ноември,
Now.
сега, сега,
Nut.
ядка, ядка,
Ocean.
океан, океан,
October.
Октомври. Октомври.
Office.
офис, офис,
Often.
често, често,
1.
едно, едно,
100.
сто, сто,
Onions.
лук, лук,
Open.
отварям, отварям,
Orange.
Оранжев. Оранжев.
Oven.
Фурна. Фурна.
pain,
болка, болка,
pajamas,
пижама, пижама,
pants,
панталони, панталони,
Paper.
хартия, хартия,
Party.
парти, парти,
passport,
Паспорт. Паспорт.
Patient.
пациент, пациент,
peach,
праскова, праскова,
Peanut.
фъстък, фъстък,
pen,
химикалка, химикалка,
pencil,
молив, молив,
person,
Човек. Човек.
Pharmacy.
аптека, аптека,
photo,
снимка, снимка,
piano,
пияно, пияно,
Pick up.
вдигам, вдигам,
Pig.
прасе, прасе,
Pigeon.
гълъб, гълъб,
pineapple,
ананас, ананас,
pink,
Розов. Розов.
Place.
място, място,
plate,
чиния, чиния,
platform,
платформа, платформа,
Please.
Моля. Моля.
Police station.
полицейско управление, полицейско управление,
poor,
беден, беден,
pork,
свинско, свинско,
potato,
картоф, картоф,
Present.
подарък, подарък,
price,
цена, цена,
problem,
Задача. Задача.
professor,
професор, професор,
purple,
виолетово, виолетово,
question,
Въпрос. Въпрос.
quiz,
Тест. Тест.
Rabbit.
Заек. Заек.
Rain.
Дъжд. Дъжд.
Rain.
Валя. Валя.
Rainbow.
Дъга. Дъга.
Rash.
Обрив. Обрив.
Read.
Чета. Чета.
Receipt.
Разписка. Разписка.
Red.
Червен. Червен.
Refrigerator.
Хладилник. Хладилник.
Rent.
Давам под наем. Давам под наем.
Repeat.
Повтарям. Повтарям.
Resemble.
Приличам на. Приличам на.
Reservation.
Резервация. Резервация.
Respect.
Уважавам. Уважавам.
Rest.
Почивам. Почивам.
Restaurant.
Ресторант. Ресторант.
Retire.
Пенсионирам се. Пенсионирам се.
Return.
Връщам. Връщам.
Rice.
Ориз. Ориз.
Right.
Дясно. Дясно.
Ring.
Пръстен. Пръстен.
River.
Река. Река.
Road.
Път. Път.
Room.
Стая. Стая.
Rose.
Роза. Роза.
Run.
Тичам. Тичам.
Sad.
Тъжен. Тъжен.
Salary.
Надница. Надница.
Sale.
Разпродажба. Разпродажба.
Salesperson.
Продавач-консултант. Продавач-консултант.
Salt.
Сол. Сол.
Sauce.
Сос. Сос.
Say.
Казвам. Казвам.
Scary.
Страшен. Страшен.
School.
Училище. Училище.
Seafood.
Морска храна. Морска храна.
Search.
Търся. Търся.
Second.
Секунда. Секунда.
Second.
Втори. Втори.
See.
Виждам. Виждам.
September.
Септември. Септември.
Serious.
Сериозен. Сериозен.
Serve.
Сервирам. Сервирам.
7.
Седем. Седем.
17.
Седемнадесет. Седемнадесет.
77.
Седемдесет и седем. Седемдесет и седем.
Shampoo.
Шампуан. Шампуан.
To shave.
Бръсна. Бръсна.
She.
Тя. Тя.
Sheep.
Овца. Овца.
Shirt. Blouse.
Риза. Риза.
Shoe.
Обувка. Обувка.
Shop.
Пазарувам. Пазарувам. Shorts.
Шорти. Шорти. Shoulder.
Рамо. Рамо.
Shower.
Вземам душ. Вземам душ.
Sick.
Болен. Болен.
Silver.
Сребрист. Сребрист.
Sing.
Пея. Пея.
Sink.
Мивка. Мивка.
6.
Шест. Шест.
16.
Шестнадесет. Шестнадесет.
66.
Шестдесет и шест. Шестдесет и шест.
Skin.
Кожа. Кожа.
Skirt. Пола. Пола.
Sleep.
Спя. Спя.
Small. Малък. Малък.
Snack.
Закуска. Закуска.
Snow.
Сняг. Сняг.
Soap.
Сапун. Сапун.
Sock.
Чорап. Чорап.
Soda.
Газирана напитка. Газирана напитка.
Sofa.
Диван. Диван.
Soft.
Мек. Мек.
Sometimes.
Понякога. Понякога.
Sun.
Син. Син.
Sour.
Кисел. Кисел.
Soybean.
Соя. Соя.
Speak.
Говоря. Говоря.
Spicy.
Пикантен. Пикантен.
Spoon.
Лъжица. Лъжица.
Spouse.
Брачен партньор. Брачен партньор.
Stand.
Стоя. Стоя. Star.
Звезда. Звезда.
Start.
Започвам. Започвам.
Store.
Магазин. Магазин.
Strawberry.
Ягода. Ягода.
Strong.
Силен. Силен.
Student.
Ученик. Ученик.
Study.
Уча. Уча.
Subway.
Метро. Метро.
Sugar.
Захар. Захар.
Suit.
Костюм. Костюм.
Suitcase.
Куфар. Куфар.
Sun.
Слънце. Слънце.
Sunday.
Неделя. Неделя.
Sunny.
Слънчев. Слънчев.
Supermarket.
Супермаркет. Супермаркет.
Sure.
Сигурен. Сигурен.
Sweater.
Пуловер. Пуловер.
Swim.
Плувам. Плувам.
Swimsuit.
Бански костюм. Бански костюм.
Table.
Маса. Маса.
Take.
Вземам. Вземам.
Talk.
Говоря. Говоря.
Taxi.
Такси. Такси.
Tea.
Чай. Чай.
Teach.
Преподавам. Преподавам.
Teacher.
Учителка. Учителка.
Telephone.
Телефон. Телефон.
Television.
Телевизор. Телевизор.
Temperature.
Температура. Температура.
10.
10. 10.
Test.
Тест. Тест.
Text.
Пиша съобщение. Пиша съобщение.
Text message.
Текстово съобщение. Текстово съобщение.
Textbook.
Учебник. Учебник.
Thank.
Благодаря. Благодаря.
That.
Onzi. Onzi.
There.
Там. Там.
They.
Те. Те.
Thing.
Нещо. Нещо.
Third.
Трети. Трети.
Thirsty.
Жаден. Жаден.
13.
13. 13.
33.
33. 33.
Us. We.
Този. Този.
3.
3. 3.
Thursday.
Четвъртък. Четвъртък.
Ticket.
Билет. Билет.
Time.
Време. Време.
Timetable.
Разписание. Разписание.
Tip.
Бакшиш. Бакшиш.
Tired.
Уморен. Уморен.
Today.
Днес. Днес.
Toilet paper.
Туалетна хартия. Туалетна хартия.
Tomatoes.
Домат. Домат.
Tomorrow.
Утре. Утре.
Tongue.
Език. Език.
Tooth.
Зъб. Зъб.
Toothbrush.
Четка за зъби. Четка за зъби.
Toothpaste.
Паста за зъби. Паста за зъби.
Tourist.
Турист. Турист.
Towel.
Кърпа. Кърпа.
Train.
Влак. Влак.
Travel.
Пътувам. Пътувам.
Truck.
Камион. Камион.
True.
Верен. Верен.
Turkey.
Пуйка. Пуйка.
Turn off.
Изключвам. Изключвам.
Turn on.
Включвам. Включвам.
12.
12. 12.
21.
21. 21.
22.
22. 22.
2.
2. 2.
Ugly.
Грозен. Грозен.
Umbrella.
Чадър. Чадър.
Undershirt.
Долна фланелка. Долна фланелка.
To understand.
Разбирам. Разбирам.
Underwear.
Бельо. Бельо.
University.
Университет. Университет.
Use.
Използвам. Използвам.
Usually.
Обикновено. Обикновено.
Vacation.
Ваканция. Ваканция.
Vacuum cleaner.
Прахосмукачка. Прахосмукачка.
Vegetable.
Зеленчук. Зеленчук.
Very.
Много. Много.
Vest.
Жилетка. Жилетка.
Visa.
Виза. Виза.
Waiter.
Келнер. Келнер.
Wake up.
Будя се. Будя се.
Wall.
Стена. Стена.
Wallet.
Портфейл. Портфейл.
Want.
Искам. Искам.
Warm.
Топъл. Топъл.
Wash.
Мия. Мия.
Washing machine.
Пералня. Пералня.
Watch.
Гледам. Гледам.
Watch.
Часовник. Часовник.
Water.
Вода. Вода.
Watermelon.
Диня. Диня.
Weak.
Слаб. Слаб.
Weather.
Време. Време.
Week.
Седмица. Седмица.
Weekend.
Weekend. Weekend.
Welcome.
Посрещам. Посрещам.
Well.
Добре. Добре.
What?
Какво? Какво?
Wheat.
Пшеница. Пшеница.
When?
Кога? Кога?
Where?
Къде? Къде?
Whiskey.
Уиски. Уиски.
White.
Бял. Бял.
Who?
Кой? Кой?
Why?
Защо? Защо?
Wife.
Съпруга. Съпруга.
Wi-Fi.
Безжичен интернет. Безжичен интернет.
Window.
Прозорец. Прозорец.
Windy.
Ветровит. Ветровит.
Wine.
Вино. Вино.
Wireless.
Безжичен. Безжичен.
Woman.
Жена. Жена.
Work.
Работя. Работя.
Worry.
Тревожа се. Тревожа се.
Wrist.
Китка. Китка.
Right.
Пиша. Пиша.
Year.
Година. Година.
Yellow.
Жълт. Жълт.
Yes.
Да. Да.
Yesterday.
Вчера. Вчера.
You.
Ти. Ти.
0.
Нула. Нула.
Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.